What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. Today we're going to be upgrading the Eternal Might Precon. Now I know I'm a little bit late to the party on this, but because I'm a little bit late, we're going to do something different. Instead of worrying about budget, we're just going to take 21 cards out, put 21 cards in, not going to worry about budget, and then we're just going to end up with a very solid zombie commander list. So let's get right into it. After you guys check out that whatnot link in the description down below, you get a free $15 and it helps out the channel. Another thing that's going to be very beneficial for you in this video is checking out Varina Library's proxies. You do get 20% off whenever you use code DT4D, and it's just going to allow you to test out these expensive cards we're going to be talking about before pulling the trigger on them, or even protect the expensive cards you guys already have, because playing with a $50 card just kind of feels bad. Last but not least, if you guys want to support the channel, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. First off, the Eternal Might Precon, I have some problems with it. Playing this out of the box has to just be a miserable experience. Just from looking at the 99, we're on like 7 ramp spells, which is kind of abysmal. And then additionally, we're in a zombie deck with very minimal sack outlets. We don't have a lot of recursion. The commander cares about card advantage because whenever you draw a card, your zombies are going to get bigger. And then there's not very many meaningful mass card advantage cards. It just goes on and on and on. I don't know what this list is, but we're gonna fix it. Don't worry about it. I also did want to mention the commander here. Pretty cool, right? Whenever he attacks, you guys get a discard a card, draw a card. Again, no recursion, kind of weird. Additionally, you get +1 for each card you've drawn that turn. All of your zombies get that, so it's insane. But if you guys do switch that to Varina the Lich Queen, this is probably just going to be a better commander deck. I don't want to force you into that, and that's not the direction I'm taking. I'm just going to upgrade the deck, assuming that this guy right here is our commander. But again, if you did want to switch out and put Varina in there instead, seems like a no-brainer. The deck's going to function a little bit better. And that's one of my main gripes. Where is Varina in this deck? Whenever our zombies attack, we get to draw and discard a card, right? Now his ability is on every single zombie. It just makes sense that you would put her in the deck because it just turns the deck up to an 11 and really causes your opponents to do something quickly or just die. Before we get on to the upgrades, I do want to thank today's video sponsors, Varina Library proxies. Proxies are very useful, and I use them a lot in the past. One, if you guys just want to play CEDH without taking a mortgage out on your house, proxies can allow you to do that. And CEDH is a very fun format. I encourage people to try, but to do that, you really do need a proxy, unless, you know, you are that guy that wants to take the mortgage out on his home. Additionally, I've used proxies in the past for very expensive cards, like the Great Hinge. I absolutely love this card. If you guys have been watching my deck lists or deck techs, you know that. So what I did is I bought one Great Hinge, and then for every deck I wanted to put the Great Hinge in, I just brought a proxy. That way I can keep my original in the binder, and then all of my decks can run proxies. The original card doesn't get damaged, and then I still get to play with the card, right? So they're just very useful. Another thing I've done in the past is I wanted to buy this expensive card to test out in a deck, and I didn't want to pull the trigger on it yet, so I just brought a proxy instead, tried it out, worked amazingly, and then you can buy the original. You also just never have to buy the original. If you guys just don't like to spend a lot of money on magic cards, or you can't spend a lot of money on magic cards, proxies are an amazing way to go ahead and play Magic at the same level as your friends without spending a ton of money. And at the end of the day, our decks should not be gate-kept by the money we spend on them, right? Everybody should be able to play at the same power level regardless. So again, if you guys want 20% off your Varina Library proxies, you can use code DT4D at checkout for 20% off. Now let's get into those upgrades. One last thing, Gravecrawler is in the deck, so an infinite card combo did get added to this deck list. Make sure you stay to the end of the video. I'll go over how to pull it off. That way, if you guys ever come across it, you can pull it off with ease. The first thing we're going to add is a way to make more zombies, and just more zombies in general. Varina Lich Queen is the perfect inclusion here. Again, this could be another commander if you wanted it to, because whenever you attack with one or more zombies, you draw that many cards, then discard that many cards. So you're rifling through your deck extremely fast, and this is going to trigger the other commander like crazy. If Temmet is in your command zone and Varina hits the battlefield, it can kind of be like a Craterhoof Behemoth effect, and you win the game. If Varina is in your command zone and then Temmet hits the battlefield, exactly the same thing's going to happen. It's going to feel like a Craterhoof Behemoth, and you're going to wipe out your opponents. Again, I kind of favor Varina as the commander just for the card advantage and the discard effect, but we're talking about Temmet here, so let's move on. Will Helt, another zombie card that 100% should have been in this precon. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So now whenever we're sacrificing our zombies, we get a free 2/2 with Decayed, and then that Decayed creature is going to get buffed up by our commander, and then then die, which is okay. Additionally, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie. If you do, you get to draw a card. So we also get more card advantage, which this deck needed. Graveborn Muse is absolutely insane with our commander because at the beginning of our upkeep, you get to draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of zombies you control. If we have 5 zombies, boom, draw 5 cards, everything gets +5, and then we do have to lose 5 life, but who cares? We're going to start killing our opponents. Jaroff the Fleshright is going to be pretty cool, mostly for his second ability, but we're going to talk about both. Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, if it's not the first spell, you get to create a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. So kind of a stormy thing is happening there, but also whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So now our zombies are just going to get massive. If we create 5 zombies, we get to put a ton of counters on that last one, and it's just going to make it to where our zombies stay on the battlefield and they stay big instead of shrinking every single turn. Centurion of the Marked and Zur Ashur are just going to give us more reanimation. We're drawing and discarding cards, so we may as well be able to bring those cards back from the graveyard, right? Which again, there's not a lot of recursion in the Precon. Endless Ranks is pretty simple. This is just going to sit on the battlefield, and at the beginning of our upkeep, we create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is half of the number of zombies you control, rounded down. So if we control 10 zombies, we get 5. I'm gonna take that. Grimgrin is just one of my all-time favorite zombies, so yes, I'm gonna put him in this deck. He enters tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step, but you can sacrifice another creature to untap him and put a 1/1 counter on him. Now he's gonna be a 6/6. Then whenever he attacks, you get to destroy target creature defending player controls and put another 1/1 counter on him, so he's a 7/7. So not only does this guy hit like a truck, he's going to be wiping out our opponent's creatures. Last but not least, not only is she a sack outlet, she's an amazing ramp piece. We have Warren Soul Trader. This card's insane in this deck, especially with Gravecrawler, because now you can just kind of do that infinitely. You are going to lose 1 life each time, but sacking and casting a zombie an infinite amount of times does some crazy things that we're going to talk about later in this video. Also, make no mistake, just sacrificing zombie tokens to generate treasure tokens to cast more zombies is extremely powerful here. I'm also adding Ghoulcaller Gisa to the deck. I know this isn't a zombie, but the fact that we're buffing up our zombies and we have some useless zombie tokens to sacrifice, she kind of seemed like a no-brainer. After combat, we've buffed all of our creatures up massively. We may as well sacrifice those 2/2s that are now 7/7s at the end of turn, and now we have a giant board state that we can buff up next turn. Moving on to more commander-centric cards, we have Kindred Discovery. This is amazing here because we get to draw the card whenever the creature attacks. This means it's going to work with our commander. We attack with 5 zombies, we draw 5 zombie cards, all of our board gets +5/+5. Really broken here. Additionally, now whenever we cast those zombie spells, or whenever a zombie just enters the battlefield, so it counts tokens as well, we're going to draw a card. Very easy to draw into your deck this way, so be careful. Ashnod's Altar is going to see an inclusion as well. Again, we need those sack outlets in a zombie deck. Why not utilize those 2/2 zombies that are doing nothing and use them to cast more zombies? Rooftop Storm. Speaking of casting zombies, now the zombies cost 0. Again, Gravecrawler and Soul Trader go extremely hard here. We'll talk about that later. Azoria Signet and Talisman of Progress. They just didn't include these in the deck, and the deck needs more ramp. I think I had like 7 pieces in there, which is kind of abysmal, so we're going to add some more. Dark Deal, Windfall, and Jace's Archivist seem like no-brainers. Now we have wheel effects that can get us to draw upwards to 5-7 cards at a time and just outright kill our opponents with our massive board of zombies. Distant Melody, kind of the same thing here. We're just going to draw cards equal to the zombies we control, so you can kind of use this as an overrun effect in blue, which is crazy to me. Gisa and Jaroff, this is just going to give us more recursion for our zombie cards, and then we are playing Zombie Apocalypse for even further recursion on our zombie cards. After a board wipe, casting this, it just drains the hope out of people's eyes. Now, let's talk about the infinite combo. Since we did add Rooftop Storm to the deck and Gravecrawler's already in the deck, you can now see that we can cast this infinitely with a sack outlet, such as Ashnod's Altar or Warren Soul Trader. Now, how do we win from there? There is cards already in the deck, like Wayward Servant, that allow us to gain a life and cause our opponents to lose a life whenever a zombie you control enters the battlefield. So now whenever Grave Trawler enters, not only do we gain 1 life, so Warren Soul Trader nets even here, we also drain our opponents, and that's going to cause us to kill everybody. But we have other payoffs here, like God Eternal Oketra. Now, whenever we cast him from the graveyard, we also get a 4/4 black zombie creature token. So there's a lot of different ways we can utilize this to win the game. Even something like Kindred Discovery allows us to draw our entire library, and you kind of just get there. So this does take a lot of cards to get there, but since we're running wheel effects and drawing a ton of cards in these colors, we can get there sometimes. That's going to do it for the deck tech, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about this version instead of the budget version, if you like the fact that I work on a budget, or if you like the fact that I just say, hey, let's make a deck that works. I really need your feedback on this one. Shout out to those patrons, Irrelevant, Creator, Excessum, The Professional Heal, and Chicken Salad. You guys are amazing. I hope this helped you guys in your deck building endeavors, and I will see you in the next one.